Alright, Victorum Gaming fans and Blood Red Skies fans, we're back with another unboxing for you guys. Today we have the Mitsubishi A6-M5 Zero, or just the Zero, as you're probably more familiar with it. So we're going to take a look at this. This is a great starter plane, of course, for the Japanese in Blood Red Skies. So we'll be right back. We'll get everything opened up for you guys, then we'll keep on going. Alright, we're back. We got everything open, and as usual, you get your 6 flying stands with the advantage system that they have there. And then, of course, the sort of typical token board here. So again, you got a range ruler, some boom chits, activation tokens, the various flight discs, and again, the back sides of those all have pilot skill 3. Then the planes themselves are plastic, and again, really cool quality, good stuff, lots of detail. Try and get that in focus for you guys there. And on the bottom there too, so lots of detail to paint. And yeah, by and large, like I said, everything's great with these, although a couple of them, as you can kind of tell as they're sitting there, the wings will need to be bent back down into place a little bit. A couple of them are warping up, so it seems like just the 2 of them really. But yeah, overall, no quality complaints on the planes themselves. And then you get some stickers instead of transfers, although these, not sure if you guys have some Zeros or you bought this box, let us know in the comments. These are basically orange, and at least everything I've ever seen has those symbols red on the plane. So correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but yeah, I don't think we're going to actually end up putting those on. We'll probably just airbrush on or create a stencil or something just to actually do the proper red circle, if that is indeed the case. But yeah, these are definitely orange, so not sure if somebody made a mistake at some point, but yeah, definitely not putting those on. Alright, the plane itself is pretty cool. So this is actually not like an early war Zero, so this is sort of a revamped version, but still a good space to start with the Japanese. So again, Zero is kind of like that iconic plane for the Japanese or Imperial Japanese, so the Air Force. And this, getting you an upgraded version, is still a pretty cool plane, very easy to get a hold of. It's got some cool features, but also has some drawbacks, and that's represented with the vulnerable trait there. So, but again, just a great starter plane for the Japanese, and you can master this and then start moving on to things like Aces and some of the other planes that the Japanese have. But just learning the ins and outs of this very typical Japanese plane, and especially for the mid-war period. So this is a 1943 version, so but we'll talk about that in just a second. So stat-wise, so it's got firepower of 2, so very solid to start out with there. And so, you know, if you have like pilot skill 3, you'll be throwing 5 dice, which is pretty cool. Very maneuverable plane, of course, with a 3 there. And then speed-wise, it's still pretty decent, although not as fast as some of the other things that are at mid-war. But speed is 7 with a real speed there of 354 miles. And it's got 2 traits. A good one, of course, is tight turn, which complements the maneuverability there, but vulnerable kind of sucks to have to deal with. So basically, you know, whenever your plane's being shot at, increase the firepower of the shooting attack by 1 before the dice are rolled. So so it's a negative aircraft trait, so that's why it's got that red border. So definitely not something you want to have in hand, basically. So you know, it's already going to be pretty nasty to be shot at, but you know, even bumping up weaker attacks by 1 can, of course, make it that much harder to dodge. But, you know, if you're being shot at by an enemy ace, for example, you know, giving them an extra die is just going to be rough. So definitely want to use your maneuverability to its fullest with the Zero. So you get 6 tight turn cards, 1 for each of the planes there. And then we have basically our, what do we have? We have our Doctrine, Theater, and Ace cards. So Wall of Lead's a cool one. So gives you a bonus of deep pockets if you have that card. But on a friendly plane, making a shooting attack after the dice are rolled, you take a boom chit, but then you get to reroll all your fails, basically. So a little bit of a risk reward there. So you know, if you're already fairly far behind, it might be, you know, a desperate gamble. But you know, if you're on the other hand, you're ahead and you haven't really lost anything yet, you know, stay aggressive, stay on the enemy, and getting some rerolls is really cool. Poorly trained opponents is a cool one too for the theater. So basically, in reaction to an enemy plane choosing a pilot action, the enemy must pass a maneuver test to complete their chosen action. And so really neat ability there. So it's discarded afterwards, whereas like Wall of Lead can be recycled with a pilot test, I do believe. And then generic ace ability that we get here is called Tactical Wizard. And basically during deployment, you have when rolling to determine the starting advantage level, all aeroplanes in the Aces element may add +2 to their die roll. So pretty nasty there. So basically, any of the scenarios that force you to roll for your advantage level at the start of the game, this gives you a pretty hefty bonus, and really you should have a good chance of starting pretty much with all of your planes advantage, which means you're not spending pilot actions or anything to climb for advantage, and you can use that to sort of bum rush the opponent or get on them really fast and start forcing them on turn 1 to potentially start having to think about maneuvers and dodging fire. So really cool card. And that is basically everything. So again, really cool kit. Great way to start for the Japanese. So if you want like mid-war action, which will bring you a lot of good contemporary battles against like U.S. forces, for example. And yeah, just a slightly upgraded version of the Zero. Really good stuff there. And if you wanted to start early war, of course, you could go for the earlier version of the Zero, but this is just a nice sort of mid-war spot, and again, a great spot to just, if you're new to the game, start with something that is pretty iconic and not too specialized. So Zero is just a great all-around fighter, and once you get the hang of that and master its advantages and disadvantages, then it's time to start thinking about things like aces or other planes, start incorporating into your list and kind of go from there. There's plenty of options for that 1943, 42, 43, even up into 44 period for the Japanese. And one thing we forgot to do, flip it over, of course, so you get your little history blurb on there, 1943, but then also 42 points per plane before we get into pilot skill or anything. So it is definitely going to cost you a bit of points here to be fielding these, but again, for its upgraded version, is pretty cool. So really the only thing I think we would have liked to have seen is maybe like speed 8, but again, if it didn't have it historically, that's obviously not going to happen, but that would definitely push that into pretty elite status there. But overall, still really good, starting off with that firepower 2, maneuverability 3 to start off with, and again, speed 7 is pretty average overall, so no big deal there. But yeah, that's the A6-M5. Again, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed everything that we got here. So it's just a quick little unboxing, and if you could, drop us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already, and then stay tuned for more.